We're starting off with the student champion of Faculty of Education and English Sports. In this election, your candidates were Sharouk and reopened nominations. Now, Mark, can you tell me what reopened nominations are?
Yes, I can. So, reopened nominations is expressed as a candidate, but is not a real person, and it is a preference given to every voter on voting, so that they can not vote for any of the candidates. They can express a preference to vote for reopening the nominations, and that would, if they won, that would mean we would run the election again, and we would ask anybody else if they want to stand. So RON, or reopen nominations, is a candidate on every ballot.
Thank you very much for that. So, on to the results.
Okay, I think that's over to me. Well, because this election was uncontested, we had 31 votes, and the quota for election was therefore 16. In the first round of voting, reopen nominations received 7 votes, and Sharouk received 24 votes, which means she exceeded the quota.
No, well, we'll extend our congratulations to Sharouk once again. Well done. So Sharouk meets the quorum of elections and is elected to the role of student champions for the Education of English and Sport faculty for 2025 and 2026. Can I get a round of applause, please? Right, so next up we have student champion for Health and Social Sciences faculty. In this election, your candidates were Jude, Kenny, Nifemi, and reopen nominations. Now, over to Mark for the numbers.
Okay, thank you, Shay. So, in the first round of voting, at stage 1, there were 182 votes received that were valid, meaning a quota of 92. In the first round, reopen nominations received 3 votes, Kenny received 77, Nifemi 81, and Jude 21. In the second round of voting, 176 were counted, which means a handful were not transferable. We eliminated candidates' reopened nominations, and we eliminated Jude, as these candidates had no chance of meeting quota. Their votes were redistributed, and 6 votes were added to Kenny to bring Kenny's total to 83. And 12 votes were added to Nifemi's 81 to make 93 votes, therefore meeting the quota and exceeding the quota of 88 for election to the role. Of Bedfordshire Business School. In this election, your candidates were Amer, Huma, Raja, Sabiha, and reopen nominations. Now, Mark, can you talk us through this? Yes, of course. 107 votes were received that were valid for this election, and the quota was 54. In the first round of voting, reopen nominations received 10 votes. Huma 29, Amy received 16, Sabia 35, and Rajan 17. As no candidate had met the threshold for election, we moved to the second round of voting. 94 votes remained in the election at this round, and the quota was 47. Amy and reopen nominations were eliminated due to their lower vote count in the previous round, and the votes were redistributed as follows. Huma received 3 votes to make her total 32,
Sabiha received 3 to make a total of 38, and Rajan received 7 additional votes to make their total 24. It was still the case that no candidate had reached quota for election. Therefore, Rajan Khan was eliminated in the third round of voting, and their votes were redistributed. Within those votes, Huma and Sabiha both received 7 additional votes transferred from Rajan, leaving Huma with 39 votes and Sabiha with 45, therefore meeting the quota of 42 in that round of election.
Round of applause for Sabiha Fatima, please. Sabiha in the house. Please come in, Sabiha. Congratulations to the Fatima, who is now the student champion of business faculty for 2025-2026. Another round of applause, please. Last but not least, we have the faculty of student champions. In this election, your candidates were Amelia, Cyril, Izzy, Maria, MJ, Mohan, Nasreen, Rachel, Sandy, Zoa, and reopen nominations. A very heavy contested elections, so Mark has a lot of numbers for us this time.
Okay, so there were 319 votes counted in this round, and the quota for election was 161. Reopened nominations received 3 votes, Nasreen 25, Sandy 6, MJ 46, Izzy 8, Maria 6, Amelia 12, Cyril 20, Rachel 2, Zoha 19, and Mohan 172. Mohan Malik exceeded quota.
Well done to Mohan.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Mohan, sorry guys, can we just make sure we lower our noise so we are alive? Sorry, can we just make sure we... Thank you very much. There are 2 student campaign lead positions available for the 2025 and 2026 academic year. 8 students will put themselves forward for the election into this full-time roles. There is 1 student campaign lead selected among home students, UK fee paying students, and 1 student campaign lead elected among international students, non-UK fee paying students. The role are paid students representatives working for the students across the institution to lead on the student interests and deliver those student priorities you chose earlier. These roles are often referred to sabbatical officers because they take a sabbatical year away from their studies or after graduation, just like me. They've become trustees of the student union by virtue of the elections. Therefore, this election doubles as an election to the University Board of Governors. These elections work slightly different to the student champions. Our student champion leads, counted by campus groups, with each campus elections when worth campus points. There are a total of 15 campus points up for grabs, and the winner is the candidate with the most campus points. At the end of each campus count, we'll remind you of the totals. Stars indicate where the final point has been awarded to the eventual winner. So there's an example for you. Mark, can you talk to us through what we can see in the slide, please?
Sure, so there's quite a few things to see on here, and obviously it looks very different from the last one, so I'll try my best. Excuse me. On the left-hand side, you'll see that the candidates are listed. So we have candidate A, B, C, and D, and reopened nominations remains a candidate in this election also. And you'll see in this table on the left-hand side, there's a running total of campus points that have been won by each candidate. Of course, when the election begins, that will say 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, this will help you keep track of what campus points have been distributed throughout each election. And bear in mind, for each position of the Student Campaigns Lead Home and Student Campaigns Lead International, there will be 3 distinct elections. One for Luton, one for Bedford, and one for the outer lying campuses in terms of campus groups. Now, if we now look at the body of the chart, you'll see that each line displayed on the chart represents a campus point. That is the threshold. Just like with the threshold for election, it is a quota for votes to meet the campus point, and that is calculated on the number of points available divided by the number of votes that have been received overall as valid in the election. When a campus point is awarded, as Shay says, you will see a star, and you might find that the stars increase as the election goes on as well. And you can also see how far away different candidates are from achieving a point. Please also know that you must exceed the quota to have a point. If you are within a fraction of the line, that is not a point. You need to exceed it to achieve that point. The number of points available for each of the campus grouping is shown at the title of the chart there. So it says name of campus and then 3 campus points. And if you look to the far right over here, it will tell you the number of votes needed to gain a campus point, and that is the margin to which these lines are separated. I hope that helps make sense. You might need to see it in action.
Yes, thank you very much, Mark. At the end of each campus, we see the campus points here. So now, Mark, please tell us a little bit about this pie chart.
So this will keep you updated as to how the points have been distributed, because the points after each campus group get added together. So in total there are 15 points, and you will start with one election which will have, say for example, 3 points. After that election you have another election for maybe 3 points, and then after that election you'll have another chance to see how the 9 points are distributed, and altogether they make 15. And this chart here shows that, for example, there have been a couple of elections in this example, and it shows you that some of the points have been distributed, but some of them are unassigned. At the end of the whole process, the chart in the middle will be full of colour, and all of the points will have been distributed among the candidates, depending on how well they performed and how many votes they got at each of the respective campus groups.
Thank you very much. Right, so are we all ready for the results of the full-time roles? I can't hear you at the back, sorry. Right. So the first role is the Student Champion Lead Home. This student has some big shoes to fill, although they won't be as shiny as mine. The candidates are Caius and Truster and Aaron. So Mark, can you update us with this chart?
I can. So, in the course of the election, a grievance was lodged. We received many grievances, and Truster Chendi was disqualified from the election. Those votes were redistributed in counting across the remaining candidates depending on the preferences of the votes within that election. And so in the count of this election, there were in fact only 2 candidates, which was reopened nominations and Caius.
So, after the 3 campus points have been allocated, Ron has 1 campus point and Caius has 2 campus points. So now we move to Bedford campus votes. Don't forget, Bedford voters turnout went up this year, so well done to Bedford students in engaging our democracy.
So at the Bedford campus, 47 votes were counted and there were 3 points available, and the threshold for a campus point, was 15.67. In the first round of voting, reopened nominations received 9 votes and Caius Hamilton 38. And the total points at round 1 was 3 points to Caius Hamilton.
Well, Caius storming into the lead with 5 campus points to the 1 campus point for Ron. That makes 6 of the 15 points allocated. But that only leaves us to 1 elected member. And what do we have here for Luton students?
So in the Luton election, there was 1 round of voting where 237 votes were counted. There were 9 points available and the threshold for a campus point was 26.34. In the first round of voting, reopened nominations received 52 votes and Caius Hamilton 185. Reopened nominations exceeded the threshold for 2 points and Caius Hamilton exceeded the threshold for 7 points, taking the majority of points from Luton.
About 15 campus points allocated to Ron has received 3 and Caius has received 12. So can we have a drum roll, please? Our winner is Caius Hamilton. On the kiss. And now, on to our final position of these elections, the Student Campaign League International will work alongside the over 5 elected student champions and the Student Champion League as part of the Student Affairs Committee. The students will need to have a big voice, although none of them candidates are able to belt out the tune like I can. The candidates in alphabetical order are Aisha, Bara, Kelvin, Hawa, Vipul. Take it away, please, Mark.
Okay, so in the first round of voting at the outer line campuses, there were 13 votes received and there were 3 points available and the threshold for points was 4.33. In the first round of voting, reopened nominations did not receive any votes for Ron. Aisha received 2 votes, Bara 1, Kelvin 3, Hawa 3, Vipul 2 and Adam 2. At the end of that round, no candidate had achieved the threshold for any points, and so we moved to the second round of voting, and we redistributed votes from Vipul and Bara as and Ron as the lowest performing candidates in the first round. After those votes were redistributed, 2 votes were redistributed, 1 to Kelvin and 1 to Adam, meaning that Kelvin reached the threshold for a campus point in round 2. There were still 2 campus points available in the election, and so at the third round of voting, Aisha Chowdhury was eliminated, and those 2 votes were redistributed. The quota was changed to 4 points due to the available votes, and 4 votes due to the available votes within the election at that stage. And as such, Kelvin, Hawa and Adam finished the round with 1 campus point each, taking the 3 points for the outer line campuses.
With 3 campus points allocated to Kelvin, Hawa and Adam, all have 1 campus point. For those Bedford students watching our live stream, this is where your voices can make a real difference. Let's see what you have said. Over to you, Mark.
So there were 142 votes expressed in the Bedford campus election for this round. There were 3 points available and the threshold for a point was 47.33. Reopen nominations received 5 votes. Aisha received 48 votes and exceeded the threshold for a campus point. Barat achieved 7 votes. Kelvin 7. Hawa 62, who also reached threshold for a campus point. Vipul and Adam both received 3 and 10 votes respectively and did not meet the threshold for any points in that round. In the second round of voting, the threshold was revised to 42.67. There was still 1 point available. Due to the majority of candidates at that point reopened nominations, Bara, Kelvin, Vipul and Adam, without opportunities to gain points or votes after transferring, all of those candidates were eliminated and the votes were redistributed, with 1 vote transferring to Aisha and 5 votes transferring to Hawa. That resulted in the additional campus point for Bedford being transferred to Hawa.
Following the Bedford student vote, Hawa is pulling away with 3 campus points, with Aisha, Kelvin and Adam all having 1 campus point. So, that is 6 of 15 campus points. We have heard from students at Bedford, Birmingham, London Bridge and Milton Keynes, but who gets the final 9 campus votes? Luton students, we're on to our choices for the final time. Over to you, Mark.
So at the Luton campus in this election, 829 votes were counted. There were 9 points available and the threshold for a point was 92.11. Reopened nominations received 23, Aisha 303, Bara 46, Kelvin 50, Hawa 290, Vipul 32 and Adam 85. At the first round of voting, Aisha and Hawa reached the campus threshold for 3 points each, taking the 6 of the 9 campus points that were available at the end of the first round. As not all of the campus points had been distributed among the candidates, and 3 were available, we moved to a second round of voting where reopened nominations and Vipul Kana were eliminated and their votes redistributed, where the threshold for a point was reduced to 89.22. Those votes were redistributed with 9 for Aisha, 7 for Bara, 2 for Kelvin, 5 for Hawa and 6 for Adam. That resulted in an additional campus point for Adam Ben, who reached the threshold for a campus point in Luton. There remained 2 campus points available, and so we moved to a third round of voting. The threshold for points was 83.33, and in this round we eliminated the votes of Bara and Kelvin, who could not achieve the threshold for further points. Their votes were redistributed, with 22 adding to Aisha's total, 17 adding to Hawa's total, and 13 adding to Ben's total. At the end of that round, Aisha Chowdhury gained an additional campus point, bringing their total to 4 at the Luton campus, with Hawa at 3 and Adam at 1. 53 votes were non-transferable. There was still 1 campus point available, and so we moved to the 4th round of voting, where the threshold for a point reduced to 75.89. Adam Ben's votes were redistributed as he was eliminated in that round. Those 104 votes, of which 67 were non-transferable, resulted in 20 for Aisha and 17 for Hawa, which meant that Hawa achieved an additional campus point from Luton in the 4th round. That meant that at Luton, the campus points were distributed among the candidates as 4 for Aisha, 4 for Hawa and 1 for Adam Ben.
So that's 4 campus points to Aisha and Hawa and 1 campus points to Adam. What does that really mean overall?
Well, we have the final campus points here, and that means that Hawa Atasha got 7 votes, 7 campus points, and which is over half the number of campus points of the 15. No, that's not true. Sorry. Hawa Atasha received 7 campus points. Kelvin Juma 1, Vipul 0, Bara 0, Aisha Chowdhury 5, Adam Ben 2, and reopened nominations 0. Hawa Atasha is duly elected.
Congratulations, Awa, who is now the elected student champion lead for
for 2025 and 2026. Well, that'd be great.
Congratulations to everybody. Can we just give a round of applause to every candidate, please? You'd like to know that this is our last of our election results, so we can all get away to our newly elected team, the stage of a photos, please. So our newly elected team will be taking pictures with our comms team right after this, so please do go over to John, and John, please wave your hands. Do over to John, and he'll take you your pictures. Can we all just put our hands together with the Student Affairs Committee for 2025 and 2026? Paris, Ara, Sabita, Sharuk, and Malik, and Lisa, and welcome.
Congratulations.
To you all now. Now the real work begins. Thank you to Mark, the election team, the marketing and communication team, to everyone who helped with the elections, and finally, the metro staff. It's your time to shine. Ramadan Mubarak, everybody. Enjoy your day. Food is located at the back of metro, so if you want to go get it, go.
I think you knew that from my face.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Oh, that was nice.